You are listening to RetroLovers Radio, your go-to broadcast for positive nostalgia.
What a wonderful night. You are listening to Retro Lovers Radio, a space for music, memories, and for positive nostalgia. Tonight I want to take you back to a very particular moment in time. Not a single year marked by fireworks or big announcements, but a quiet shift, a change in the air of the 90s. The early 90s didn't arrive with a clear musical manifesto. There was no official handover from the 80s. No one stood up and said, well, this is the new sound now. And yet everything started to feel different. Tonight's episode is about that feeling, about the song, or rather the kind of song that defined the early 90s sound. Not because it was the most played, not because it topped every chart, but because when you heard it, you knew something had changed. At the very beginning of the 90s, music seemed to slow down emotionally. The 80s had been loud, colorful, larger than life. Songs often sounded optimistic, polished, confident. Even when they were sad, they were big sad, But the new decade began and something else started to emerge. Songs felt more exposed, voices felt closer, lyrics sounded like they were written in a bedroom, not a boardroom. There was more space in the music, more silence between the notes, more room to breathe and to feel. Think about how different songs suddenly felt. A song like Losing My Religion didn't shout, it lingered. It circled around doubt, insecurity, unspoken emotions. It didn't tell you what to feel, it invited you to sit with it. Then there was Nothing Compares to You. It was bare, vulnerable, almost uncomfortable in its honesty. No glitter, no armor, just loss, longing, and presence. And when Smells Like Teen Spirit arrived, it wasn't polished rebellion at all. It was messy, raw, confused, and real. These songs didn't sound alike, but they share something deeper in common. They reflected a generation that was no longer interested in pretending that everything was fine. The early 90s sound wasn't about perfection. It was about truth. It was about admitting confusion, admitting sadness, admitting that things didn't always make sense. And that honesty changed everything. Music stopped trying to impress and started trying to connect. For many people, this was the first time songs felt like mirrors, not posters. You didn't just like these songs, you recognized yourselves in them. So this is a perfect moment to pause for a second and remind you that this kind of connection doesn't only live here in the podcast. Every week, RetroLovers Radio comes alive through our live shows. On Fridays, we go live with the 90s Lover Show, and on Saturdays, it's the 80s Lover Show. Both shows start at 7 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube at RetroLovers Radio. The first part of the show runs on YouTube and simultaneously on Kick, but the first we broadcast for the first 90 minutes or so, and then we continue the full experience on Kick without YouTube restrictions, where we can enjoy full music videos and your song request and many more interaction. But what really makes sense, what really makes these shows special and to make sense is that they are not one-way broadcast. People join live, they comment in real time, they vote in our top 10 countdown, they send audio messages, they request songs, and sometimes they even call in to talk with me directly and share their memories and reflections about songs or about life. It's radio as a shared experience, the way you used to feel. So if you enjoy this podcast, make sure to join us live on Fridays and Saturdays, and keep an eye on the YouTube channel and the notification bell for the other 6 special shows that we run throughout the month. These are 6 extra shows apart from the main 80s and 80 Lover Show and 90s Lover Shows live streams. And don't forget, there's also a public Facebook community if you want to gather with like-minded crazy melomaniacs from the 80s and 90s, like myself and others, where more listeners connect, share memories, and keep this conversation going along the week. You can find it by searching RetroLovers Radio 80s 90s Nostalgia on Facebook. Now coming back to the early 90s, what defined that sound wasn't a single genre. It wasn't grunge alone. It wasn't alternative rock alone. It was an emotional shift. Songs became less about image and more about inner life. Music stopped telling us who to be and started asking us how we felt. And maybe that's why those early 90s songs still resonate so deeply today. Because they gave us permission. Permission to be uncertain, permission to feel lost, permission to simply slow down and listen. In a way, the early 90s remind us that music doesn't need to have answers to be meaningful. Sometimes it just needs to sit with us. So now I would love to hear from you. When you think about the early 90s, what song instantly takes you back to that time? Where were you when you first heard it? What was going on in your life by that moment? You can share your memory in the comment section on YouTube and also join the conversation inside the RetroLovers Radio Facebook group. Your stories are part of what keeps this space alive. So before I go, just a gentle reminder to take care of your loved ones and to remember what's truly important in your life. All the rest is secondary. Alright everyone, thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Mick, and this was RetroLovers Radio.